Well, it is 7:01,
Yeah.
so we can go ahead and get started and call to order our regular meeting. First, are there any requests to remove items from the consent agenda for discussion? Joy?
No, thank you.
Something on 7A.
7A, okay.
Oh.
Just in time.
Just hello. I've already said 7A, so Shane, if you
It's already
have
covered.
something else to add.
You're
And also I'd like to talk about the Isabel chart.
Great, and that's 8B. Okay. Shane, sorry to put you on the spot just as you're settling in, but do you have anything for removal from the consent agenda?
I suspected 7A.
Okay,
It's my fave.
great.
That's where you live.
No.
And wonderful, Joe and I also am going to request that 8B, that Sharno?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I sorry, didn't have the page.
Okay.
But I just had the name down.
Okay, now can we have a motion to approve the order of items of the regular consent agendas? Regular and consent agendas?
so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, just a quick little report from me, and of course I want to thank all of our community for approving our millage and bestowing all this faith and trust in us. And it is the 72% is truly a testament to the work of the staff, the incredible staff that we have here, and the amazing programs that we provide. So obviously thrilled about that, and it certainly makes this evening's budget discussion easier. I also want to mention that March is Reading Month, and it's been great. I love seeing the librarians and staff come up with very creative and fun ways to promote literacy. And lastly, we are in our 60th anniversary year here, and so we are going to be celebrating that. Of course, we're always celebrating our library and all that we do here, but I look forward to inviting our community to honor and celebrate our 60th anniversary as well. So, we are closing out our fiscal year this month, and we'll begin anew, and it's exciting. And today is officially the first day of spring. So
Feels
Even though
like
it
it.
doesn't.
Feels like spring.
So all that seasonal depression is now just regular depression, and we're glad to be here tonight. Yes. So I will turn it over to Tara for her director's report.
Thank you. I was also gonna say happy spring equinox today. The days are getting a little bit longer every day,
Bit by bit, yeah.
bit by bit, even though it's pretty cold.
You know that the rate of change of the increase of the length of the day is greatest at this time.
The rate of change, okay.
Follows a sine wave.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
now we're at that part where it's this.
I'm glad to know that.
Many people do not know that. That's the way it works.
Well, I'm also still celebrating the passage of the millage renewal. So grateful for our residents for approving that renewal and that show of support, as we've said a couple times already. I know staff and me are very inspired and energized to keep doing great things and to make this library the most favorite place in the community for everybody. To that end, lots of exciting changes and events are coming up. As you all know, Vega, which is our new user interface for the library catalog, has gone live. There have been a couple of challenges. Some patrons have been slow to adapt to the change, but we've been holding everyone's hand and helping them along, figuring out all the places where they can do the things that they need to do, like place holds and find their library record. Mostly it's been fine. Has anybody here used Vega at all?
Not yet.
I just read in the
Yeah.
comments that people were having issues.
I'm guessing that if it's working well for someone, they're not gonna comment. And typically as human nature
Yes.
is, when it doesn't work, we like to share
Yeah.
that.
Or even just change.
Yes, change is hard.
I'm sorry to say, I don't fully understand what this is. This is something different from the app?
Yes, so this is when you go on our library website and you click on catalog
Yeah,
and you search the catalog, it's that interface there.
okay. And you don't use that through the app?
No,
That's always what I seem to do now.
Is the
is
app.
use the app,
Yeah,
that's
great.
good.
yeah.
It
Shouldn't
uses-
I, or?
No, you
Oh,
should.
no, you
Yeah.
should,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that's what I always
This is
do.
it's just another option for
It all
those that
uses the
might
same
not.
back-end database.
Yeah,
But it's just different interfaces for interacting with it.
okay. So in order to get to Vega, you have to go to the actual website.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I kinda like it, but I don't know, I might be in the minority.
What things about it are different?
I mean, from the comments that I've read, it seems like it's just things are in different places. It's unfamiliar.
Is it more intuitive than
Mm,
the
Doesn't sound
catalog
like it.
was?
I don't think so, I think it's just different.
Okay.
What do you think, Laura? Laura works at the circulation desk.
Oh, Laura would get this
I
probably.
think it's actually, I think it's really nice, it looks a lot more polished and I like that it's very easy to see what the material looks like and to have a summary that's really easy to access of like what format it's in, so I personally really like it, it seems more streamlined, but
Yeah.
might just be a nerd's take, I don't know.
It just takes some getting used to, just like
I think it's probably changed.
anything that's changing, yeah. Well, I'm very proud to share that the library has a podcast. Has anyone checked out the podcast?
I did, I listened to it, it was
Okay.
great.
Good. Yes, 4 staff, 2 adult and teen librarians and 2 youth librarians have created the Distracted Librarians podcast. They've worked really, really hard on it. It's taken them several months to get a couple of episodes in the bank, but they wanted to do that before they released it to the world. This has been a really nice partnership with BCTV, and the staff have used their podcast studio at the BCTV office, and the staff there have helped produce and edit it for them.
That's terrific. That's a nice collaboration.
Yeah, it's been really nice. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, so whether you're an Apple person or a Spotify person, and I encourage you to check it out. My favorite part was I feel like I got to know the staff members a little bit more by listening to this. They're talking mostly about media consumption, like what they've been reading, what they've been watching. They ask each other questions.
But in that first episode, they talked about how they got to our library, and that was kind of
That's
what I
fun.
liked, just for that background on everybody.
It's very cheerful, fun. Well, as we were talking earlier, we all know that a total solar eclipse is coming on Monday, April 8th. Southeast Michigan is near the path of totality. We're not right in it, but I think we'll be able to see part of it. And once again, we received solar eclipse glasses, viewing glasses from StarNet, which is an organization that sends them to public libraries. We are going to start giving them out next week, starting Monday, March 25th. We're giving them out at the adult and teen and youth services desks to anybody with a Bloomfield Township library card, and you can get 4 per card. On Thursday, April 4th, we're featuring a Eclipsapalooza event, and we'll have the Michigan Science Center Portable Planetarium here and some other eclipse related events. So
Do you know what time it is?
in the evening, like 5:30 to oh, you mean the eclipse itself?
Yeah.
Oh.
Around 3 p.m.
I thought it was even a little earlier, but the Luna Pier down by Monroe is supposed to be smack dab in its path. So,
Oh, that's where it
yeah,
is.
so
It's not far.
it isn't far, so I would think we would be able to see.
You and everybody else will be going there.
Yeah.
So you gotta go one more exit.
Or Toledo.
Yes.
I mean, for example, if someone was gonna take their kids out of school.
I think
Oh
I'll
my
just
gosh,
try
that's a
for
great
my.
idea.
Oh, it's gonna be.
There we go.
People are spending thousands of dollars to fly there.
Yes,
And
or
what if
doing
it's cloudy?
that
I think that all of
Texas to
the-
Detroit flight
Hotels are booked.
right at the, did you see that?
Yes, you can watch it from the air.
Has done I can't remember where in Texas, to Detroit flight that will
Oh, that's
be able to see
cool.
all along the path.
On one side of the plane.
Yeah. You're
Yes,
right.
that's true.
Yep, that's,
The other side is for cheap seats.
yeah. Exactly. They'll all be on that
gonna
side of the
tilt.
plane.
I know.
The window.
Plane
They'll be
will-
flying like that.
The last one was 17 or 18?
17.
17, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When we had the,
Traffic jam.
yeah.
Yeah.
Should we maybe set some aside for the Friends meeting since it'll be earlier that week
Yeah, I can do that.
and give out?
Do we have, yes, do you know the amounts that we have to distribute?
Do you, Catherine?
We received 2,000
Okay.
pairs of eclipse glasses. There was a partial eclipse in October and we
Yeah.
handed a few out then, but there
Right.
was not a whole lot of attention around that. So I'd say we probably still have at least 1,800
Okay,
pairs. They'll probably go pretty fast.
yeah,
But I think giving them out starting 2 weeks in advance will avoid that traffic jam on the day of.
yes, and maybe the welcome desk will have a little sign that says
Sorry.
we're all out.
Have them or we don't?
Yeah. So that, they're going to be
Oh, they're the
front line, yeah.
I hope it's a sunny
Inundated.
day.
I know, that's the
Yes.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the deadline to enter the library's 8th photo contest was Sunday. This year's theme really seemed to click, pun intended, with residents. Because I think we had a record of participation for this photo contest. We received 125 photographs from 71 photographers.
Wow,
Just a lot.
I'm looking forward to seeing our winners.
Yeah. So next week, be on the lookout for the People's Choice voting. That'll be available via our website. We'll do some social media posts for that too. So you'll be able to see all the photos and you'll be able to vote on what your favorite is. And then the winner of that voting will be announced at the reception on April 13th, along with the winners of Best in Show for second and third place in the adult, teen, and youth category. Those awards will be decided by our panel of expert judges. So I hope you can come to the reception on the 13th. It might be a good time to meet and greet some patrons in an election year. There was a report in the board packet about the 60th anniversary subcommittee. We've met once and kind of come to some decisions about the direction that our 60th anniversary party will be heading. We kind of landed on a title of applause to applaud our residents and all the great things that the library has in store. We decided on an all ages event that would take place on Saturday, October 5th. Between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. We kind of discussed having a carnival atmosphere, no carnival rides, but that would inform the food, the aesthetic, the theme, some of the events the activities that we have. The committee's going to meet again this Thursday at 10 a.m. and we're going to talk about sponsorship opportunities this time. So stay tuned, more on that. The committee that was working on HR related goals, this was one of our subcommittees of staff that was formed after the strategic plan. They have recommended conducting a compensation and classification study. And also to review our org chart and see if there are any changes we might need to make with positions around the library. The committee has already done a lot of legwork to write a draft of that request for proposals, including coming up with a list of firms, and they got some good budget numbers as well. So we want to get moving on that RFP pretty soon. Catherine will be managing that process of the request for proposal. This is over that $25,000 threshold. It'll probably be in the neighborhood of, I think 35 or 40,000 is what I put into the CIP. And we are not working with a firm that could provide this service to us, so we will want to do a proposal process for this. We're going to put that RFP out next week. And we hope to have a recommendation to bring to you all by the May board meeting. And we can get started on that and wrap it up in the fall as we start to work on our budget, and we might have some better budget numbers for personnel going forward into the 25-26 budget.
What is it that drives the need to do this? What is behind that?
Well, it's been 7 years since we did one before. I think that we wanna make sure that our compensation is in line with what other libraries are offering, because we're competing with so many libraries in this area. I think the pandemic has disrupted the labor market and changed the way people are looking for jobs, the kind of jobs they want, what they're looking for in compensation. And the work of librarians and library workers has changed a little bit too. So we want somebody to come in, third party, review all that, make sure it all makes sense. There are some weird little quirks that have happened over time as the ranges have shifted, so we wanna smooth those out.
Okay.
And then, like I said, a review of the org chart too.
I think it's very prudent, because as we all know, librarians have taken on so many more hats, and responsibilities in response to societal changes, societal concerns, and I think it's really important that we are leaders in that respect. As much for the respect of our staff and for being able to take care of the public in
Yes.
respectful ways.
Well put.
And also, in the personnel committee, we looked at a couple of positions that were very hard to fill
Okay.
and changing actually the way we were advertising and
Okay.
actually not calling the position a librarian, actually calling it something else, and so we could increase the span and the pool of the applicants. So, yeah, as Tara said, there've been a lot of changes
Interesting, okay.
and
And having these
Different
accurate
needs.
numbers helps us to better attract and retain, you know, our staff.
Some of you may have noticed that we are doing an accessibility services survey. Lauren Catoni Ellis, who is the librarian who oversees the accessibility services collection, is looking for feedback from people with disabilities, parents and caregivers of people with disabilities, medical professionals, and also educators about their needs and what they would like to see in a library. So she has created this pretty short survey. It's not maybe 10 questions. It's available via our website, and it will be up for a few weeks, and she is going to try to get some folks to take that survey so we can gather that feedback and adjust our offerings.
Did it maybe come through in an email?
It was on social media.
Oh, maybe that's where I saw it, cause I think I did as like a parent of a disabled person, I think I filled it out.
Okay, good.
So I mean, I just don't remember where I saw it, but.
Social media probably, yeah. And I have one more thing, and then Catherine has something to share. Just to let you know that the library has received our annual audit engagement letter, and I put it in the pass around folder that came from Alan Pantier at Yo and Yo. It's just to
it's
say,
here if anyone would like to see it.
it's just to say that they are getting ready to do the library's annual audit. The field work will take place on May 3rd through 5th at the library. Monica is already getting ready to go through that process. And this year I would like to present the audit to you all in July. The last few years we've done that in September. But I'd like to do it in July. It will be done by then, it usually is. In the past couple of years, we've waited until September because there's usually a number we're waiting for from the township before we can finalize the financial statements. But as Alan pointed out, the audit it loses its relevancy the more it kind of sits around. So you as the trustees would wanna know if we've got a good or a bad audit, so corrections could be made or adjustments could be made. So we'll present that in July this year, and then it'll be finalized in September. And then I wanted Catherine to share about the training that we conducted recently called Stop the Bleed.
Sure. So we have a monthly staff training program where we address all types of different topics. We host usually 2 per month, and staff come as their schedules allow them to. And a while back, one of the library ambassadors, Andrew Sachs, approached Tara with a proposal to host Stop the Bleed training at the library, and I don't think you had heard of it. I hadn't heard of it.
No.
But we did some investigating, and it's about how to respond if somebody has a traumatic injury. I think often we think about, in a public space like a gunshot wound, but this would also be a severe cut, a fall from, a height, car accidents, things like that. Anywhere where somebody has a life-threatening wound, essentially, and can bleed out. Cooking, yes, I have been to the ER in the last few months for a cooking wound. So the training, we worked with Andy, and he has connections with the Trinity Health Oakland Trauma Services staff there. They do education and outreach. And we had this great woman, Anita, come to the library and present on 2 occasions this month, this Stop the Bleed training. It was offered to staff as well as to friends of the library who have expressed a lot of interest in our emergency procedures recently. It was about a 30 to 40 minute training with then time to practice on a mannequin limb, essentially, just like when you do CPR training and you have the dummy there. So we had a limb, and we learned 3 different techniques to assist somebody if there is a bleeding emergency. And I think everybody felt a little more empowered to react, maybe a little grossed out. I see Keith's making a little bit of a squinty face.
I always think about those kinds of things, that you do the training and you're doing it under a certain condition, but then in reality, can you actually keep it together and remember what you learned? And
so it's so simple. It's essentially apply pressure.
Okay.
And that is, I'm not going to give the training. I'm certainly not qualified to give the training. I've only just taken it. But for many wounds, you can simply apply pressure. I forget the exact measurements, but it's essentially keeping the blood inside your body, and it's the amount of pressure that is your blood pressure. Is all the pressure you have to apply.
Yeah.
Most people can apply enough pressure to staunch bleeding from any wound. And then the other 2 ways would be to pack the wound with gauze or cloth of some type if it is
Or anything
a larger wound.
that you might have, not
Yeah.
worrying about infection because the person would be.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about infection. They said literally you could use your dirty socks. They have strong enough antibiotics. If there's an immediate concern with bleeding, you just have to stop the bleeding.
Exactly.
And then a tourniquet would be the 3rd way. And I think some of us are adding tourniquets to our own personal first aid kits.
So is there a first aid? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I would be interested in taking one of those sessions.
If we offer it again, I'll make sure you know about it. There are Stop the Bleed kits that you can purchase either as an individual or for an organization like ours, which we will be purchasing shortly, and we will have those stationed where we have our major first aid kits and our AED machines. So we have about 35 staff and friends members who attended the 2 training sessions. So if you have a traumatic incident at the library, which I hope you don't,
Like a paper cut?
there's a good chance someone's here who can help you.
Or one of those machines? I don't know if we have those.
We do.
Yes, we do. We have like
Oh.
a super high propane.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yep. I would.
Shredder.
Oh my, that sounds, I wanna know about that.
It's dangerous working at the library.
Very.
But it was a really great session with
It
great
was.
presenters, and we're so glad that one of the library ambassadors brought this to our attention.
He attended both sessions and he was really great. He shared a lot of really useful tidbits and information. And to your point, Keith, I'm the same way. Like, yeah, this is great when we're sitting in this meeting room talking about it, but
And this, this leg is here. It's not really somebody's leg. It's just this thing.
But they did, I think the thing they did was demystify it, you know,
Yeah.
like that tip about just apply the pressure, you wanna keep it, use anything around to stuff it in the wound. Like there are some things you can do if you can get over the initial.
That's good to know.
And that's the end of my report. It was a long one.
Well, thank you very much. All right, well then may I have a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda items?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, well, now it is time for our call to the public, and Laura is here representing the SOC.
That's me. Oh, hello.
Hi.
It's been a kind of eventful meeting last sort of month. We just brought on our 2 new members. We said goodbye to Deb and Amanda, and we welcomed Drew and Tom. They are already diving into their roles with gusto, and they're doing a great job. And so we've already been to the bank and we've gotten the names signed off. Thank you to Amanda for wrangling our bank person to get that done. Very smooth transition, it was good. And I'm looking forward to hearing all about their ideas. I think it's gonna be good, so.
Great,
Thank you.
very exciting.
Yeah, very.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to our unfinished business, and this is where we've been discussing the bylaws and going over, reviewing our bylaws, and we have that here in our packet on page 35 through 39. And the section that we will discuss this evening is in red, or
Article 5.
yes,
Yeah.
Article
Library director.
5,
Library director, page 39.
page 39. Okay,
All right,
go
well,
ahead.
this is one of your most important duties is the power to appoint a suitable librarian to serve as library director, and also the power to remove such appointees and evaluate such appointees as well. That's not really included here, but the appointed library director shall be selected by a process as outlined in the Board of Trustees approved Bloomfield Township Public Library Director vacancy procedure. The library director shall be considered the executive officer of the library and have the sole charge of the administration of the library under, of course, your direction and review. The library director shall be responsible for the library's services and resources offered to the community for the operation of the library under the financial conditions set forth in the annual budget, which we're gonna do tonight, for the employment and direction of the staff, and for the care of the buildings and equipment. And the library director shall attend all meetings of the library board of trustees.
Which is what
How
we're
could it
doing
be
right now.
otherwise?
It's great.
And that's it.
I'm
It is
good with
very
it.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is there anything that anybody wants to discuss about that? No. All right, well then let's move on to new business. And the first thing that we are going to do is look at the proposed budget. And that begins on page 40,
It's only pages.
goes until page 85.
Nobody had any trouble opening up the attachment this time?
No.
Okay, good.
And we as a group spent some time digging through this so that we all understood exactly what it is that we are talking about, what we will be voting on, so that we all have really done our due diligence here.
Yes, and I appreciate your thorough review from a couple weeks ago, and we did make a couple of changes, Monica and I, so let me I'll go through the highlights of this budget and point out the things that we changed between last meeting and now. Well, it's a balanced budget, it's a very good budget. I'm so grateful to the residents for approving the millage renewal. As we've said, without that, it would be a very different meeting we would be having. So let me talk about first the 23-24 amended budget. We did have to make a couple of changes in our current budget as it's closing out. Revenues were a little bit higher than we expected. They came in at $102,000 compared to what we anticipated in March. Also, the library held a used equipment sale in August, which contributed an additional $2,068 to our revenues. We don't hold a used equipment sale every year, just when we have a nice backlog that's gonna make a worthwhile sale. Our expenditures increased by a little bit, $224,000 as compared to what we anticipated in March when we adopted the budget, and the primary drivers of that increase were retirement, which went up by $117,000 based on the township wanting to put more toward their pension obligations, and we kind of have to follow suit with them for that. Our computer system maintenance increased by $10,000, and that was due to the changes with Vega and the mobile app. The price of Vega went up in between when we adopted the original budget and when the bills came in. And then staff development, there was a lot of interest in going to conferences and workshops this year, and so we needed to boost that budget a little bit to accommodate all the people that wanted to attend workshops. I think that was a post-pandemic, I'm ready to get back out into the world, and registration fees went up too.
Way up.
Way up, yes. So as a summary of all those changes, the fund balance decreased by $130,764 compared to the March 2023 adopted budget, and that's again because of that increase in expenditures. We all met in August and decided to ask the township to levy our full 2 mills, which have been adjusted by Headley down to 1.86. And that is what we asked the township to do, and that's what they've been doing. We've been getting those receipts as they roll in. And the library continues to be in very sound financial condition, and that allows us to plan a bunch of projects for the 24-25 fiscal year. Any comments on the amendments to 23-24 budget? Okay. So moving on to 24-25. There's a change again between the meeting we had a couple weeks ago and this meeting. We have increased revenues, projected revenues, to be $778,801, and that was to change what we're anticipating for investment earnings, and then an increase in property tax revenues. So we did make that change, Shane.
Thank you.
Expenditures, we're proposing they will increase over the current fiscal year by $189,000, and I'll review some of those expenditures below. Personnel expenditures will increase by $111,000, and that's due to giving folks a wage increase and just other expenditures increasing. Library services is going up a little over $11,000, and that's just again because prices are going up, books are always going up, we always need to spend more money on Hoopla and other databases, programming, all of those supplies, as we've been talking about, prices keep increasing, so we need a little bit more money there. Facilities and equipment, it's very expensive to run this building and keep it in nice shape, so that is projected to increase by $54,000. Other operating expenditures, which includes things such as postage, office supplies, legal fees, our audit fees in this category, including staff development, which we just talked about, people are interested in going to workshops and conferences, and those registration fees are going up. So this category increased by $12,000. The capital projects line decreased by $1.2 million. That's mostly because we took out the $2.5 million placeholder for renovating the entire parking lot, because we have been presented with this opportunity to do the retention basin above ground, so that lowered that cost. But we have a lot of other projects planned, so we're still gonna spend some money from our capital improvements plan. So in summary, total library revenues are estimated to be $9.6 million for the 24-25 fiscal year. Operating expenditures are estimated to be $7.5 million, and expenditures including capital expenditures are estimated to be $9.6. So because we bumped up that investment earning, we will actually put money into our fund balance, if everything goes as we think it will. So it's a very, very good budget. Any questions, comments about the 24-25 proposed budget?
I had a question.
Yeah.
On page 47, there's column 5 and 6. So taxes went from 6.8 million to 8.9 million. Is that because of the millage?
Yes, because in August we budgeted like we weren't gonna get it.
Yeah, which was smart, obviously. And then if you go back down to expenditures, retirement expense went from 508,000 to 603,000. Is there something going on?
Say that one more
Yeah.
time.
So I'm on page 47, you go under expenditures, you see personnel. You've got column 5 versus column 6, which I think is preliminary budget and then proposed budget. We're up 100 grand on retirement expense.
Yeah, I think we're anticipating that would just go up and just in case the township wanted to put a little bit more into that too.
Because last year went up 117,000.
Yeah.
So it's in keeping with.
Great, thank you.
Do we increase it if we anticipate someone is going to retire?
No, we're always paying it toward the pension and there's a formula, I don't know what the formula is that they figure it, they just tell us what we owe.
The township.
Yep.
And is it a percentage of the pool?
Man, I don't really know for sure. I assume so, yes.
Okay.
Yes, our people, it's however
As-
many
as
people are
opposed
eligible
to-
for it, yes,
Okay.
yes.
The total number of township employees
Right,
that are
exactly.
eligible for it.
And our number of, yes, percentage.
Okay.
Makes sense. Okay, the gift fund, the 24-25 proposed gift fund, we never assume that we're going to get any gifts except for the Myers Scholarship is the only one that we
What
budget
page
for.
are we on? I'm sorry.
This is page
40.
46.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still looking at the director's budget
Thank you.
message, yep.
I know I saw it, but I wasn't, yeah, okay, there we go. In there.
So
Thank you.
we just budget for the Myers Scholarship payout and then as donations and gifts come in, we know that the Friends will be granting wish list requests. But we just account for that as it comes in and then we keep track of the expenditures as they go out. So there's not really much to say about the gift fund. So I think the change to the investment earnings was one big change we made. And then in the capital, that's between the last time and this time that we're talking. In the capital improvements plan, I removed the expenditure for library cards because we're not gonna buy library cards this year, we just bought them last year, or this year. I think that was all that we really changed between the meeting on the 7th and today. In the capital improvements plan, just a couple of things to call out. We've got that comp and class study budgeted for here for 40 grand, that's a placeholder, of course, we'll get better budget numbers as the RFP process takes shape. The drainage improvement plan, which is what Joe Christopher has been working on with us, we've got that here. We want to upgrade our video surveillance system, so we've budgeted for that. We've identified upgrading the AV in the community room as an expenditure for this year. I put in some money for our spaces, whatever we get to with reimagining spaces, and I just pulled that number out of thin air. Not sure what that will be, but we have time to refine that as we start working on that more. And then several building projects that Hugo has identified that he would like to do. I want to go back to the long budget sheet on page 47. and talk a little bit about the fund balance. Our fund balance is very healthy, it's $12 million. But that is spoken for mostly. If you look at the very, very bottom of the budget sheet in the green column, those small words over to the left where it says non-spendable, restricted, committed, that delineates what that money is set aside for. So prepaid expenses would be things like insurance and a garden certificate that we pay for up front. The big chunk of it, over $5 million, is set aside so we can pay bills through the year as our taxes come in right now. $2.8 million of it is set aside to cover our other post-employment benefits liability that we have. We do have that trust set up, but that's, what is it now? It's at about 50%, and we are actually fully funded with this money that we have here, so that's spoken for. And then the $3.6 million is set aside for capital improvements. The $482,000 is compensated absences, so that's if everybody who's owed benefit time retired at the same time, we would be able to pay that out. And then $100,000 for unplanned emergencies. So it does seem like a big fund balance, but it's carefully earmarked. I like to point that out.
Some might say those compensated absences could be an unplanned emergency.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, good point.
yeah, because that's a big one.
Yeah. But that's why it's so important that we have that earmarked and that we have it set aside.
So any other questions or comments about our budget?
I would just comment and thank you, Tara, and Monica, and Catherine,
The heavy
and
lifting.
all of the department heads for all of the work that is put into this. I know it's a lot. That's an understatement.
Very, very much reflective to me of careful spending and planning and knowing how your money is being spent and being prudent about how it's being spent, so thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
echo everyone's favorable comments.
And it's balanced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Monica does the heavy lifting. And the department heads contribute a ton also, and everybody plays their part. So thank you, including you, for reviewing and approving it. Perhaps.
Well, speaking of approving it, there is a motion on page 48. Is that right?
Yes.
48?
Should be.
Can I read that one?
So, yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds like an excellent.
Proposed motion to approve on a functional and total fund basis the proposed general fund budget as attached for fiscal year April 1st, 2024 to March 31, 25 in the following amounts for the support and maintenance of Bloomfield Township Public Library. $9,697,191 in revenue, $9,638,390 in expenditures. Fund balance reserves shall be decreased by $58,801. Net revenue expenditures. There's a planned use of fund balance for capital projects, including the drainage improvement project.
Before you go on,
It should be increased.
it should be increased, the fund balance is increased.
Oh, yes, because you're
Yes,
moving
That's
that.
because
the
it's going
revenue over
into it.
expenditures.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Duly noted on
Yes.
So can we go ahead and approve it and just fix that word later?
Yep, well, it'll be fixed in the
Yeah.
minutes,
Shall I continue?
please.
To approve on a functional and total fund basis the amended general fund budget as attached for the current fiscal year April 1, 2023 to March 31, 2024 in the following amounts for the support and maintenance of Bloomfield Township Public Library. $8,918,390 in revenues, $10,891,800 in expenditures. $10,861,800 in expenditures. Fund balance reserve shall be decreased by $1,943,410. Net revenue expenditures. There's a planned use of fund balance for capital projects, including the door access upgrade project.
Great. And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Wonderful,
Thank
really
you.
great.
Yeah, so we'll change that decrease to increased.
Um,
And then there's another one.
And there is another one, but I just wanna say, you know, a year ago, we didn't know if we were gonna have this millage, and we didn't know if we'd be able to put together a budget like this and be able to serve the community the way that we will. So it is really, it's quite a relief to take that vote tonight.
Yes, thank you for saying that.
Shane, do you wanna also read
Yeah, I'm on a roll.
motion? Just go.
Another motion to approve on a total fund basis the proposed gift fund budget as attached for fiscal year April 1st, 2024 to March 31, 2025, in the following amounts for the support and maintenance of Bloomfield Township Public Library: $700 in revenue, $160,195 in expenditures. Also, to approve on a total fund basis the amended gift fund budget as attached for the current fiscal year April 1, 2023 to March 31, 2024, in the following amounts for the support and maintenance of Bloomfield Township Public Library: $76,231 in revenue and $237,726 in expenditures. So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Wonderful.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you. We have a budget.
We have a budget.
A good one.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Over 9 million. That's
I
a
know.
lot.
I know. Yeah.
We will move on now to our bank signatories. Because there's been a staff change in the Bloomfield Township Treasurer's Office, they require the bank signatories to be updated. I'm gonna say it's Jevahirian.
Okay.
Yep, Mary Jevahirian is the new Bloomfield Township Deputy Treasurer. And so tonight we need to ask that a resolution be made to update that updates any time that there is a change made to the library board of trustees, or a change in the position of library director, assistant library director, or finance coordinator,
What page are we on?
Page 86.
or when changes in the Bloomfield Township public officials occur, which is what has happened here.
Yes. And
So there's just a brief motion there on page 86.
And the resolution is actually on page 87, and it just says that the following people are authorized to sign on behalf of the library, and it's that same list that's on the memo. And in the following depository institutions, and then that the resolution was passed and adopted. So this will get signed, and we will send this to the bank, to Flagstar Bank, and then we will continue to have township officials sign our payment vouchers after every board meeting. But the motion is on page 86.
I feel inspired to read this.
Oh, great.
I move to approve the items previously moved from the.
Oh, no.
No, isn't that?
Go back 2
We're
pages.
not
Page
there yet,
86.
Oh,
but
I can do it, even though you're
yeah, why don't you
inspired.
go ahead?
I move to approve the resolution authorizing signatures, including facsimile signatures for banking services on behalf of the Bloomfield Township Public Library as presented effective March 19, 2024.
and a second,
I'll second.
Oh,
go
there
ahead. No, go ahead.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Thank
okay,
Oh, I see
great.
what it was. Thank you for taking care of that.
Okay, and now we will move on to discuss the items removed from the consent agenda. Do we wanna start with 7A? Let's
Okay,
go back to that, let's see, that should be
Page 13?
13.
Yeah, 13.
my question was why we needed value line both in print and electronic.
To accommodate different preferences. Some people like the print, but the electronic you can use off-site.
Right. Because I think it was fairly expensive.
It is an expensive one,
Yeah.
but people love Value Line.
What is Value Line?
It's an investment newsletter.
Oh, Is this an annual payment?
Yes.
Okay. Joan, was there anything else on 7A?
Then it was 7B. Did you have something in 7A, Shay?
I think so, page 15, and again, I very much appreciate whoever does these summaries on page 13 and 14, it is really helpful.
Good.
Yeah.
On the next page, there's Flagstar Bank, 44,600, and then Sentinel Technologies, 3,500. What are those two for?
Flagstar is to pay our credit card,
Oh,
and Sentinel is an IT consulting firm that we use for various services, and we buy some licenses from them as well for like, IT, cybersecurity type things.
thank you. That was all I had.
Okay.
Could I ask, in some of these payments in the narrative, and I agree, it's helpful to see, would be helpful to me if some of them said annual payment or monthly payment, or like one-time payment kind of thing. I think sometimes I see it and it clicks, but it's not,
Yeah, that's not something I ever thought about, but I can do that, I think.
that would be, well, like here to Augie's, to the janitorial services, it says specifically payment for 1 month.
Yes.
So after I pulled my chin off the floor, I thought, oh, it's every day, so that makes sense.
Right,
It's
right,
every
I guess
day,
that's
and
true.
they're very, very good.
Yep,
That was a good change, actually.
but I think that's important to know that it's for a month.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll see
Just
how I can do
gives
that.
perspective,
Yeah.
I guess. And I would also, and I don't know if this is the place to say it, but I would, we've talked a little bit in the past about doing a study of electronic database use.
Yes, I actually have that on the agenda for the April board meeting. Here, I think it's on my bird.
Oh, great.
I hope you missed that meeting.
No, because I'm missing June. You're gonna miss it. What?
I was supposed to not be here, but
But you are going to.
Wasn't there
here,
another month that
the
you
next, but I'll
said?
be here for that one too.
Okay, good.
The economy went like this and we stopped traveling.
Oh, right. Okay.
Can I make a comment on your comment? If I was
I guess you
this-
could comment on my comment.
if I was the CFO and was asked to do an annual monthly, I might suggest it would be easier if you pick some dollar threshold. So if it's like $38, you don't need to,
Yeah.
or
That's a
if
really
it's
good
if it's like
idea.
we all know the custodial bill is monthly,
Right.
there's some parameters.
Yeah,
I think it might be reasonable to.
and I kind of approach this like that anyway, if it's, especially over 5,000, I try to call that out, or if it's from another library or a staff person, I'll call that out.
The subscriptions, we know most of those are annual.
Right, yeah. I'll see what I can do to make that more clear when I review this next month.
Joan, did you have something else on 7B?
On 7B,
I'm gonna bring Laura Crayley here.
okay, Tara, I read, but I don't know what page it was on. I know on 7B, but you had written that you and Monica decided to put the charn off money into another CD.
Yeah,
For another year, which is fine because we didn't have plans to rush to spend that. And then you mentioned that she loved the classic literature, and I don't recall what Judy said about her loves. I know I was on the personnel committee with her, and obviously this is many
Okay.
years ago. And that would be fine if we use that, but in the interim, I guess while it's in the CD, we could have discussion about what, unless we contacted her children who made the donation and see what they would like, if we can reach them.
Yeah, my thought was, I do have some correspondence that we sent to her family at the time that the donation was made. It was about 2011. Isabel was a former trustee. I was going to suggest perhaps Adult Services has asked about the possibility of their own programming room. You know, the youth department has a story time room, and Adult Services would love a room of their own that, cause right now when they have book clubs or the lectures or all the things that they do, they have to put it in a meeting room. A programming room would be great for them. That's where they would hold their book discussions. And I was thinking that would be a nice way to honor this gift that was given for the enjoyment of literature, to hold book discussions.
I love that.
I don't know if such a thing is feasible for our space, and that would be something we would have to explore in the spaces study.
Yeah.
But I wondered what you all thought about that, and if I might pursue contacting the family and asking them if we could use that money toward that. Because we have a healthy budget, and we have money in the budget to buy books and works of classic literature. We, you know,
Right, and this
50,000 is
is,
a lot to spend on classic literature.
right, and this is, 50,000. So that gives us a lot to work with. I think a dedicated room would be a lovely idea. She was
Especially
a
if you
lovely person.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
I
just
never worked with her.
really lovely person.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
So you'll reach
I'll,
out.
yep, I'll work on reaching out. So, yeah, and I wondered if you or Judy had worked with her.
I did I did the personnel committee
Okay.
with her,
Okay,
but shortly after that, she became ill, and then she went to her children out east. I think they lived in Brooklyn,
okay,
and then she had to leave the board.
okay. I'll try
Presumably
to,
the room would be dedicated, somehow named for her in some kind of a way.
we'd have to talk about that. We don't really have a naming policy. It's not something we normally do,
Okay.
but exceptions can be made.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had that thought too.
So I would get some input from Judy. I think we should.
Yeah.
So is
Would
the
she-
request to get some clarification about how the money could be spent with a few ideas?
Yeah, or to, make a suggestion,
Mhm.
That would be how I would approach it,
rather
is
than
this is
put it
what we
on
were
them
thinking.
to come up with an idea.
Right,
Because
because
they have no
I'm
idea.
wondering if, as we're getting into the spaces study, that we might come up with different ideas that would come up after you've asked them, so that's all I was.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if I can even reach anybody.
Right.
And second of all, yeah, to see how closely tied they feel to that purpose, use of the funds, yeah.
Well, I wanted to mention that I really appreciated Monica's work on this and recognizing the possibility of reinvesting these funds and bringing this to our attention. But I also wanted to just recognize that this is something that patrons and people in our community have the opportunity to do if they feel moved to, that they can support and encourage literacy and the love of literacy and time in our library by making a meaningful gift like this to the library. And whether it's earmarked for specific designation or not, but that the possibility is there for people to support our library and the work that we do through this kind of meaningful gift. And here we are, this was 2011, so
Yeah.
13 years later, and this Isabel's legacy is still a
Right.
part of our library, and that's something very special. So thank you to her family for that, and hopefully you're able to reach them, and we can, and we'll find ways to continue to honor this gift.
Thank you.
Was there anything else that we removed from the consent agenda to be discussed? I think that's it. Okay, great. Then can I have a motion to approve the items removed from the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, well, let's move on to other. Is there any other?
I have a question
Yeah.
about pages 91 and 92, which is some of the committee. Is
Oh
this-
yeah, the strategic plan memo.
Is this the time for that?
Sure.
So on 91, the last item here, HR practice committee.
Uh-huh.
Review the entire hiring process through a DEI lens and a legal lens to ensure the process is fair. What is that?
To review the process.
Okay. Maybe we can talk about it later, but I mean, I assume it's legally fair already.
Yeah, I think it is. I think some staff would like it to be reviewed to make sure that it is. I think there might be some things that we could eliminate from our process, that it might be overly burdensome, and I think that might be where
Well, that would be
the
great. Okay, and on
tension is.
the next page, same thing. The collaborative culture committee, HR recommendations, part-time, full-time, and I think that'll come out in our study. That'll be a helpful piece. Then create a formal procedure where staff can safely report their concerns. Don't we have a procedure?
You know, we don't really. I mean, anybody can email me, they could email you all if there was a concern about me, but we don't really have a formal procedure for that.
Could they fill out a comment card?
They
Like,
could.
just anonymously?
We could, yeah. I would like to beef up our whistleblower policy and create a mechanism for anonymous feedback through that. And talk about it with staff, because that's another thing, is we don't even really talk about it. And I feel like people don't know what's available to them.
Do you have a whistleblower?
We do, it's very brief, it's in our employee handbook.
So like in most big companies, you have a hotline number and you have to pay for it, oh, by the way.
Oh.
So you call the hotline, you tell them what you want, they send me an email that says an anonymous employee complaint. And here's the complaint, and then you can post a response to the hotline.
Oh.
88% of the time you know who the anonymous employee is, but it doesn't, it's all irrelevant. But you could set up something much simpler too, like just a whiteboard or a blank, complaint at btlh.com. And
Yeah.
let anybody set up a random email account and send it to you.
Yes.
There's a lot of ways to do it, but okay. This is nothing specific.
If there's a need, people have expressed that they want this,
Okay.
so there's something that people feel that they need to express this way.
Would it be helpful if I gave you that vendor?
Sure.
Hey, remember the printer discussion we had? I told you I was gonna get so I went down to go see whether we're gonna lease or
Oh,
buy our
right.
printers.
Oh, yeah.
I went to go see the guy, I found the guy who's in charge of it, right, it's a huge company. He was like, oh yeah, and I discussed it, he said, well, given how little use it sounds like you have, maybe it makes sense for you to buy. I said, well, send me our contract and our data, and then I went on vacation and I was.
These are copiers,
put-
right?
Yeah,
Well, when we,
Is that what we were
multi-use,
talking about?
copier, scan,
Printers, yeah.
fax.
we'll get pricing for both and we'll see how it works out. I feel like trying to remember back to the last time we did it, it seemed like it was similar pricing, leasing or buying.
Might be a difference between how they support it or the service contracts or.
Maybe, I mean, we have a service contract with them right now, we get good service, they don't
And
break
you-
down a
It's a
lot.
purchase?
Yeah.
Always.
We bought them.
Well, that's blessing.
And we have someplace you can print to, right?
Yeah, in the computer center, way back in the north end of the building.
Does it get used?
Mhm.
Just curious.
Oh, yeah.
And also people can do it
just-
from home
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just saw
Now.
something, a notice about you can do it from home.
and come pick up your gun.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a concern with what would probably be space repurposing and our beautiful carpet that we have.
Are you being sarcastic? Which beautiful carpet?
No. Well, like in the commons, and so, or maybe Catherine knows more about this. How does this all figure in, like flooring and repurposed spacing?
We have no idea right now.
Oh, okay.
It will have to be.
I'm jumping ahead then, I'm just,
Just
like
not there yet?
Yeah,
picturing our beautiful flooring and then wondering what happens when we start to move spaces around.
we will have to see.
I
Okay.
think newer spaces like the commons, the lobby flooring, none of that would get touched.
Okay.
That would be my
Yeah, it's more the areas of carpet that are going on 16, 18 years
Oh,
old
the
at this
old-
point.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do anything with the commons. It's working well.
May I ask a question about the fines going away? I think I saw is it April 1st? So no fooling, it's really
No
going away.
fooling, it's really, yep,
Okay,
it's coming up.
okay, so we have some marketing planned for that?
Yes, it'll start April 1st also. We didn't want to confuse people by starting it sooner.
No, I think it's good, and I was kind of wondering, are people then gonna say, well, you're just frivolously giving away fines and we just supported you and
We'll have our talking points and same things that I told you of. In fact, the Canton Public Library recently posted on their website, they have been fines free for about a year and a half. And at the time when they went fines free, they had about 4% of items out with overdue with fines. And right now they have 2.4% of items out and overdue. So it helped bring back items there.
And again, just, the fact that if something is damaged, there's still there's still,
Responsible for it.
there's still that, and that you do have to return items,
yes. I'm sure we'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we are too.
and it's keeping up with the trend of libraries definitely there, so.
Agreed.
Any other?
To say that the Friends did not have a record month, but a strong month, a little over $6,200, and again, just in the last meeting, they sent out 47 boxes. This is after all the money.
After books are sold, after
After
items
books
are
are
sold.
sold to outreach, and just across the state. I think that's just the most incredible way that our community supports us and the Friends are able to repurpose books. So everybody gets a gift.
That's great.
Thank you. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then I will remind you all that our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, April 23rd. Is that your birthday?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
So
All
we'll
right.
have an opportunity to celebrate with you.
All right, great. That is also my sister-in-law's birthday.
I'm sure she's a lovely person.
I'll remember. With that, we can adjourn our meeting. Thank you.